Hey there, welcome back to High Infidelity, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into today's story video. I came back from my deployment only to find my wife with another man on my bed. Being in love is arguably one of the most beautiful things in life, but it is also one of the most perilous. I understand that life is all about taking chances. As a private, I joined the Marines. I'm now a corporal. I busted but I'm still here. I wanted to be a Marine for the rest of my life, or so I thought. I'm in a difficult situation. My wife and I married 3 years ago. I was madly in love with her when I married her. She made me happy with everything she did. I adored how she looked at me, how she smiled, laughed, and played with her hair. Now, I'm not sure if I still love her. I was on deployment for 8 months. Now, while I was at the base, my brothers would often remind me that women only married soldiers for the advantages. You know, things like benefit payments, healthcare, education, vacations, and so forth. They claim spouses become lonely when we deploy and bring a pal home while Here, I didn't pay attention to any of this, did I? Isn't it not true of all women? Well, I'm not sure anymore. It's not my position to suggest that every woman is now like this. When I returned home, I had to fly for 12 hours. I was desperate to see my folks. A wife and a lovely princess. Being apart from my child is like being hit in the gut a billion times till I see her again. Despite this, I was always conversing with her. I step inside, believing they are present. There was no one at home, as far as I could tell. I sat down and waited for them. I called my wife, but she did not answer. There is no text, nothing. I walked into the kitchen and heard several thumps. It sounds like it's coming from the basement. I heard a man groaning as I opened the door. I make my way down silently. It helped that we had a really soft, furry-like carpet. Also, wow, I found my wife kissing someone I went to high school with. We weren't best buddies or anything, but we were acquainted. This seemed unbelievable to me. I don't play this garbage anymore, so I hopped on the bed and beat this dude. Not in the way that other males do, but it was enough to inflict him a black eye and a split lip. He was well aware that she was my wife. He was aware that I was absent. Wife was yelling at him not to strike him, that she is really sorry. My house has been at base since that time. This house is nothing more than a collection of destroyed memories. My brothers were correct about marriage, and specifically about my wife. I will never trust my wife again, and if I divorce, I want to remain a Marine, which implies that marrying again would be a waste of time. We are, in fact, still married. This was not a long time ago. I regret remaining with her on a daily basis. When she grins at me, I simply look away, and when she embraces me, I just look away, placing one arm over her. I turn my head when she attempts to kiss me. Our favorite part was trying something we'd never eaten before. We would go to distant states only to dine at the best restaurants. We hadn't done it since before I departed for Asia. I'm just no longer in love. When I mention divorce, she leaps on me and apologizes profusely, shedding phony tears. That she will never do such a thing again. That she cares for me. She admitted to sleeping with him 3 times. I know I'm all over the place, so throughout my absence, she only slept with him 3 times. Okay. To be honest, I think I should be nominated for most distant spouse. She to me, telling me she misses me, and that what she did was a mistake. That she'll go to any length to keep us the same as before. We don't dispute, yet we're more separated than adversaries. She is always recommending that we visit a therapist. All they'll do is tell us to make up. I'm not doing anything that entails touching her or establishing eye contact for more than a second. That is why I will not be attending. I was unconcerned about my daughter. She has a striking resemblance to me. She has my ears, eyes, and hair color. I don't need a DNA test. Even though she wasn't mine, she was my life. I would never abandon her. She is the reason I am not divorcing and ending my marriage. At the base, one of my brothers didn't slap me in the face. I recall him stating that if you come home and find your wife in bed with someone else, we'll claim we told you so. But he didn't say it. Instead, he added, I'm wrecking my life with the wrong person. He said that if I do not divorce, I would be unhappy when I may meet someone wonderful. Sure thing. I simply want to return home. However, because to the epidemic, this will not be possible. I offer everyone a blessing and ask that they keep safe indoors. Story 2. Wife cheated, crushed on so many levels. I'll try to be as concise as possible, but I'm a first-time Redditor in need of some, anonymous, aid with something. I was trying to get into an account I share with my wife last week and couldn't remember the password, so I sneaked a glance at her phone while she was asleep to find out what she was typing in. After more than 6 years of marriage, this has been the standard in our relationship. We have 2 children. I then began to look at her photographs, which included selfies and explicit selfies, among other things, not her style at all. For a shortened version of a lengthy story, I discovered that she had been, and based on contextual signs, had an emotional relationship with one of her employees. I was depressed and sat quietly on my porch bench, trying not to weep, faint, or otherwise lose it. When the morning came, she texted me asking, "Where have you been hiding? Did you arrive at your place of employment already?" Even though I wanted to scream at her the night before, I knew I had to keep my cool and avoid doing anything stupid. According to what I've read on this sub, when she was confronted, she broke down and sobbed, saying, "I don't know how it happened. I'm so stupid. I'm an idiot." In the months after, we haven't spoken in person, save from a few texts about our dog's care and one email I wrote that basically stated, "I'm not ready to speak, but here are some things I need from you." I was going through some house/bills concerns that I either needed her aid with or that she should be aware of. A plumber is coming Thursday, and you'll be meeting him, so I called her. The fact that she has changed so drastically from who she was for the most of our relationship is devastating, and I could never have expected this. It is so far off from who she was for the majority of our relationship that it has come completely out of left field. Right now, I don't see how we can come to terms. Our marriage had its difficulties, but we managed to overcome them. What really gets to me is the content of what they were saying and the manner in which they were saying it. She was always closed off, and her first husband was a judge who was mad, which didn't help the situation at all. But despite my repeated encouragement, she has never expressed herself in public outside of missionary is wild for us. Even though this didn't make me happy, I'd come to terms with it over time. It was clear that her texts and photographs, which she refused to share with me, were dirty, rude, and sultry. Even if they had been to me, I would have been walking on clouds, but they were to him. After years of concentrating on our connection, I'm feeling devastated, as if I'm the punchline in a long-running comedy routine. They also treated me as if I were a bothersome nuisance or a little kid. Has he harassed you in any way recently? If your husband comes in, it will be difficult to explain the wet stain on your side of the bed. It's all right, he thinks he knows how to, but he's not as good as you at such things. I hope your spouse does not come in. It will be difficult to explain the wet stain on your side of the bed. I hope you got the gist of what I was trying to say. In contrast, I've shown to be every bit the excellent husband that I had hoped I would be. Because she had a long-distance job assignment, I increased the amount of time I spent on housekeeping and other household responsibilities. I built her a vanity so she could do her cosmetics in privacy. The reason we dressed up for a date was because she requested it. I like my clothes to be casual, but I'd go the extra mile if it were for her. I gave her the highest priority I could think of in practically every situation. I've been as kind and attentive as I possibly could be, and while she didn't always show her happiness out loud, she always looked to be satisfied. Looking back, I can see all of the indications, but we were so dominant, in my opinion, that I didn't see them at the time. In the course of their relationship, he came over for dinner one night. She had a headache, went to bed early, and sent him tapes of herself using while I was downstairs. Some of the last piece is so terrible, emasculating, and baffling that I'm absolutely baffled as to what is going on. I'm not sure how I'll ever speak to her again, much alone consider being in a relationship with her. I had a meeting with an attorney today to discuss the next steps in the divorce process. In my state, you may live like roommates while still being legally divorced. As a result, we've been separated for a whole week. Is it acceptable to say that I feel there is no way out of this situation? Is there anybody else who has had a similar experience? I'm unable to communicate with friends or family members at this time since it's too difficult to handle. Because I'm so close to her family, it will be quite difficult for me. What steps did you take to cope with it? How long did you have to sit around and wait? I realize I have little hope of finding the answer, but any assistance would be much appreciated. Also, for anybody who happens to be reading this in the middle of the night or on a weekend. I'm just a week out and things are getting better. Keep your composure under pressure.